Good day to all you rSpace fans. Today we've got one for those gamers out there. It goes a little something like this. Wife caught cheating with Simp she met streaming on Twitch. Buckle up, this gets interesting. COVID-19 hits March of this year. My wife eventually in May or June complains of being bored, yet I bought her this $2,300 gaming PC she never uses. I advised her to hop back into gaming during the down period. She starts streaming and building friendships and a small community on Twitch and Discord. I'm confident that this is helping because it's such a low point in many people's lives to have any interactions. Late July, early August comes around, and due to our jobs, can't specify, we are on complete lockdown to the couple-mile radius, only able to go to essential stops, gas, groceries, etc. She decides to take a staycation with two girlfriends to a local hotel to have a girls' night. The first night goes past with a few texts. No problem, she needed to enjoy herself. I text her the next afternoon, and she then tells me they're actually staying another night. She comes back to the house on that Sunday morning and sits next to me while I just woke up from the night prior, and says we need to talk. She says that she needs to focus on her career, it's incredibly busy, and she needs space. I respect this because she has been getting several opportunities to progress, and I want to see her succeed. I let her be more alone, but when I do see her, I make sure I am affectionate to enforce I support her after a long day of work. She eventually says we need to talk again. This time she says, "I cringe when you're affectionate to me," and says, "I don't get it." And eventually says when we move back home, we live overseas, she wants to live separately and have me help pay for her apartment by herself. I explain that's not what I want, and I could move where her job takes her most likely. It would be unfair to me because I would likely live somewhere without her or our dogs. She states I'm selfish for wanting to live with her and the dogs and not leave her alone. I start to become depressed because I have a wife that will not touch me, tell me she loves me, or acknowledges me. I am crying in the shower regularly and eventually feel pathetic looking at porn because I have a wife that won't be there for me. I also notice her sex toys constantly being used, which I'm not mad about, but I haven't been laid in 2 months, and we don't even shower together anymore. I start to notice she is always on her computer streaming, which is expected because she is trying to build an audience on Twitch. I work in the social media realm and understand the work it takes to build a community. She started to become agitated if I come in while she is streaming or if I talk. I eventually never go into the computer room out of fear of being yelled at. September, I start to talk to my coworker about this and he says I should check her computer. I'm the last person to want to touch a computer or phone. I am not the jealous type, but he finally opens my eyes to this idea. I go home one day and try to log onto the computer. The password's changed, yet we already had this password set 2.5 years ago at this point. We go to dinner that night, and on the way, I am clenching my fists against the steering wheel and gritting my teeth with this knowledge. I am battling in my head the idea that she is my wife and I should trust her, and also that if she is my wife, I should be able to talk about anything. I drop the bomb. She scoffs at my inquiry and says of course not, and she changed the password to match her work computer. I feel a little more at ease because of how direct this was. Eventually, a week later, she has a baby shower with a mutual friend, which I am invited. I go, but I had an infection, so I was incredibly weak, on antibiotics, and just not feeling well. She is lovey-dovey and rubbing my shoulders and giving me kisses. She finally leaves her phone unguarded, which I noted to never be visible when I'm around. I try to log in, and the password is incorrect. I play into my illness and go home with this new information, upset because now I'm on to something. I remember one of the guys she plays with all the time and tried to add him on Instagram. She gets outraged by this, questioning me. I also had a work trip coming up for a week at the end of October. She insists on knowing every detail, which seemed weird how much she was wanting to know that I would be gone when I am her husband. I go on this work trip and try to avoid texts to give her this space. I return and she picks me up and I get no affection. I miss you, I love you, or anything. It's just agitation. I took her out to dinner that night, even though I was tired and took her to hit balls at the driving range, one of her favorite activities. She tries to film herself hitting the ball, which it wasn't filming, and as I tried to assist her, but insisted I didn't touch her phone. I go to bed that night after my week-long trip, and still no sex. Mind you, I'm not asking for it all the time, but would like it at least 1 to 3 times a month. I'm frustrated in every fashion of the word. A week later, and it's the end of October, and I get an early day off work. I go home and hear the sound of her speakers being plugged and unplugged from the computer, which makes me inquire. I click on the mouse and the computer is unlocked. I knew this was the time to see what is going on. I go to the email and see nothing, but she bought Phasmophobia for J and Ed. She also had a confirmation email for downloading WhatsApp to her Apple Watch. She had never had a reason to use this app before. I eventually go to Discord, which I am not the best at navigating. I noted in one chat this guy Jay sends a smiley face with a heart kissy thingy, and she responds with a heart eyes emoji. I click on their messages and I see all of the messages. I start to record with my phone instantly as proof to present. I capture all the data I can, and even saw on my birthday she was writing to him about missing him, etc. I send a text to her saying, "I know about Jay." She calls me immediately and is panicked and says she is coming home. We sit on the couch and talk, and she just tells me it's because she wanted to have entertainment. I notice she doesn't even cry, and she doesn't even say sorry. I had to tell her that she never said sorry, which she then makes excuses. She claims she wants to be my wife, but can't right now. She sees us together in the future maybe, but not now. I tell her I need time to think about this. I want counseling, but she doesn't, and says she needs to work on herself. I eventually get her to say yes. I told her that she needs to change the passwords and tell him it's over. I understand if they need to talk. She agrees and we continue. That night, she's only talking about how she won't financially be able to survive without me. I reassure her that she can make it like any other person. I then the next day check the computer. She changes the password back, but has logged out of every single account and Discord where I found the messages. Technically, she did do everything I asked, so I'm not mad. I asked her what he said about it being over, and she tells me that Jay hadn't said a word back and he isn't like that to write back. I then, a week later, notice she left her phone upstairs. I try to log in, and it's not changed. I address this, and she becomes irate at me for checking. I ask her to let me see the phone, and she does a couple of fast strokes, so I know she deleted some things quickly. I check Instagram messages, and nothing. I instantly go to the phone call log, and see she has still continued to talk to him on a regular basis, even after the day I found out. At this point, I'm not even mad because I'm so torn down. A mutual friend of ours goes on a girl's day, and eventually tells me she was still talking to him the entire day as well, several days later. I call off going to counseling at this point because I realize she isn't serious about making this work. Weeks start to go by, and we coexist. She has bought an air mattress and sleeps in the computer room. We only go for dinner, and that's our only line of communication. She took money out of a savings account for our future, which we never touch. I ask why she took out the money when I financially can help and have paid for every bill since we have been together. She yells at me saying it isn't my business. But I also have known she lies about money, and I have bailed her out of drowning credit card debt previously. I felt it was betraying my trust again to not make a couple's decision and work together with money. She eventually gets mad and kicks me out of the house because she realized I stopped automatic payments to this joint account. Luckily, I have another place lined up, and I'm here now since Thanksgiving. I spend weeks trying to get out of a slump. I scheduled therapy for myself to help, let my work know why I'm not in the best mood, or performing to my best. She then starts to ask me to come over for dinner randomly. I feel alone and do miss my dogs, so I go over because I still miss my old life. To be honest, even though it never feels the same. She gets mad at me if I don't always say yes, and for Christmas, she bought me a PS5, which I obviously was very excited about. Now she can only talk about my need to stop focusing on the past and work on the future with us. I'm still pending another therapy appointment, but this time has been made invaluable for myself to reflect. My only regret now is I have to let this linger and didn't call it quits immediately when I found out. I've always been a fixer, and someone that doesn't quit and can be relied upon, which I feel is being taken advantage of. She now wants this to work, but I'm afraid my feelings and trust are already too far gone. I am having a hard time telling her I want this to end because I still love this woman, but I can't be with her, and this is the hardest thing to understand for her and myself, I'm sure. I think I'm looking for approval or justification to end it when I already have it. I just don't want to regret anything either, since we have been married for almost 8 years. I'm 30. I love being in a relationship, and because of this, I will have to give away my dogs. Also, she's a very angry person, and I think will take anything she can from me, even with these circumstances. The best part about this is that this guy is a downgrade so bad that she hasn't shown me or her friends what this guy looks like. I have a good support system, but maybe some words of advice to make pulling the band-aid off quicker? Wow. I've got my opinions, but let's see what the comments say, and I'm anxious to see what your comments are down below. Starting off, Mr. Big Bull 01 said, "First of all, I admire your patience and flexibility for trying to work this out with your wife. However, like you already know, it is a lost cause. I'm sorry to say this. See your wife as a faucet and yourself as a bucket. Her cheating and lying is causing the faucet to leak. The size of you, bucket, is measured by your flexibility and patience to want to fix things. But as you know, a bucket has a limit. Now you are at the point when the bucket starts to run over. It can't handle no more. Now you can try to be a bigger bucket, but that still won't solve the problem. The faucet continues to leak. You already tried to repair the faucet, but with no luck. Then there is only one solution left. Remove or replace the faucet. My advice would be to leave the marriage. You're still young, a full life ahead of you. I know it does not feel this way right now, but you would be better off without her. When the time is right, a lovely woman will be there for you. Another piece of advice is to not tell your wife right away. First, contact a lawyer in order to see what your options and duties are. Keep that all a secret, and confront, tell, serve her when you have all your ducks in a row. You've already split your finances. That is good. Maybe you should take your half of the savings you two had for the future and book it to your private account. She will ask why you did that. Make something up like protecting half of it because she already took some money out. And if she is allowed to do that without asking you, then you have the right to do that as well. I know it will be hard, but have as minimum contact with her as possible. Prepare for divorce without her noticing you are preparing for that. I know, it all sucks. We have a saying or two. One is, sharp knives cut clean, and soft healers make stinky wounds. So you can better do it swift rather than take a lot of time. Both will hurt, but the second one hurts longer. It's like a band-aid. Rip it off fast. It will hurt, but for a short time. Do it slow, and it will hurt more and longer. Good luck and take care. It would be nice if you kept us updated.